You know how directors can add intensity to a movie with music? One of the more common ways is to increase the tempo, or add volume, or add in more voices and instruments that our hearts are racing along with the actors on the screen as they run or fight or get chased. But another way is to suddenly drop to a silence. No music, no voices, and with this nothing, pretty soon you are on the edge of your seat. In Psalm 66, the vast majority, the first 12 verses of the psalm are filled with the voices of the masses of Israel, shouting and singing and saying, "Come and see," speaking of God's great deliverance of his people and rejoicing over the one who is there through their tragedies, bringing them back to a place of abundance. But then they stop. And a lone voice rises out of the crowd. A single person stands to sing. Can you feel the intensity? Here is what he says. I will enter your house with burnt offerings. I will pay you my vows that my lips promised and my mouth spoke during my distress. I will offer you fattened sheep as burnt offerings. With the fragrant smoke of rams, I will sacrifice bulls with goats. Selah. Come and listen, all who fear God, and I will tell what he has done for me. I cried out to him with my mouth, and praise was on my tongue. If I had been aware of malice in my heart, the Lord would not have listened. However, God has listened. He has paid attention to the sound of my prayer. Blessed be God. He has not turned away from my prayer or turned his faithful love from me. So what was going on? Well, the temple sacrifice stuff tends to throw us a bit. It's not our culture. It's not what we're familiar with. So let me break it down. This individual has gone through some sort of serious threat in his life, and we don't know what it was, but it was grave. How do we know? Because in the midst of it, he made this extensive vow. He talks about the sacrifice of rams and bulls and goats, and that's a lot of animals for one man. He's saying that the whole menu of a sacrificial beast could hardly do justice to honor the God that took him out of this ordeal. But he brings them, and he calls on his friends and all who fear God to listen to what God has done, and he says, "Come and listen." Now, it seems weird to have the nation's thanksgiving capped by a single worshiper, but this is the paradox of God's ways. The few and the small matter just as much as the many, and just as the nation is able to cry out to God, this one solitary person has cried out to God. He's lifted his voice in prayer, and God has heard him and has answered him. Did you know that the other nations also wrote psalms? It's true. Other ancient cultures of Mesopotamia wrote songs and prayers to their gods, some of them very similar to Israel's psalms. They say their God is great and powerful and brilliant like fire. But do you know what the psalms of the other nations never say? He answered my prayer. Because Israel's God, our God, actually answers prayer. And what is more, he not only personally hears you, he personally shares his love for you. Blessed be God. He has not turned away my prayer or turned his faithful love from me. Let us too call on others to listen to what God has done for us, not only in the crowd, not only in the loudness, but in the stillness and the quietness of your personal life. God loves you.